Hello there, welcome to Geeks Unleashed for this week. My name's Maud Garrett, Chief Bomb of Geek Bomb, and I'm coming to you all the way from New York City. Yay. I'm sorry, I'm like the only person in the world that doesn't like New York. Also on the panel we do have Taz. Hello, Taz.
Hey.
And our guest for the week, her name is Ryan Keeley. She has done a lot of stuff in LA, acting, as I've discovered after Googling a long list of videos. A long list. There's a long list there.
I am retired. Now I keep my clothes on and host for a variety of companies.
You certainly do. Jukeboxx as well, which is where you can catch Ryan. Where do you find that one? Like where do you
Jukeboxx is on Playboy TV, and then I am also a correspondent for therealstanley.com where I cover a variety of geek activities and events here in Los Angeles.
We were just quickly filling Taz in, but I think we should share everyone the story of how we met. It's kind of cool because we were at Stan Lee's Kamikaze convention.
Yeah, it's
the
best convention right now.
I didn't really know anyone, but I was there and I bought some new prints and I was so eager and I was meeting everyone, and I think the first thing that I said to you was, "Do you know there's a Dungeons and Dragons group in LA?" And you're like, "Oh, honey, no." But come to my Magic the Gathering, and so what I've seen
I did tell you where there was a Dungeons and Dragons group, but I said that they were not as cool as my Magic the Gathering group, and that you should play Magic because it's a better game anyway. Yeah, only nerds play Dungeons and Dragons.
So let's kind of. Wait a second. I have two groups of Dungeons and Dragons. Is that right, Taz? We played.
We played once, okay? Okay.
We played once. Lenka. I have a half-elf thief. She's really cool because she's got a magic throwing dagger that every time she throws it, it returns to her grasp or whatever. Just too nerdy. When did you fall in love with Magic the Gathering? Let's talk about that.
Well, I did used to play Dungeons and Dragons back when I was in junior high and high school, but I don't have the attention span for the game. So I always thought about playing Magic. Yeah, Dungeons and Dragons takes way too long. And actually, I was at Indiecade a couple years ago, and they were giving out starter packs of Magic the Gathering, and so I grabbed like one of each color of all the 5 colors, and I had them sitting around my house for forever. And then Bob Akferdosi, who came on your show recently, was at my house having brunch, and he was like, "Why do you have all these Magic the Gathering cards?" And I was like, "I don't know. I'm like thinking about learning to play." And he's all like, "I'll teach you." And so basically, like, insisted on playing Magic the Gathering, even though I was making waffles, and it was the best thing that ever happened. And then a friend of mine got really sick, Josh Barnett, and so I went over to his house to take care of him, and because he couldn't do anything, he was all like miserable and pouty. I played Magic the Gathering so I played with Bobak. 2 days later, my friend Josh gets sick, and I end up spending the next 10 days at his house just basically like playing Magic and eating. And I was like,
Because I mean, we had that one session, like I came in, I don't have any decks, I don't have the cards. I only ever played on the iPad, and as a kid, I had all the cards, but that was back when I was sort of like 9, 10, 11, and my brothers used to play a lot, and it was like a, "Don't touch." I was like, "Oh, okay." But
what color do you play? I will build you a deck. I have so many cards.
This is like the adult nerd version.
You should be playing blue, man. I reckon you would need counters. I feel like you would be really sneaky, and you would have to have blue.
Okay, let's go. Let's do like a MTG 101. Let's go from the very beginning, the basics. What did Bobak tell you and teach you, and what the fuck is blue?
Okay, so there are 5 colors in Magic the Gathering, and they all kind of stand for something different.
I thought it was like the elements. So you had fire, water, earth, dark. You tell me.
Well, black is kind of evil, and it does a lot of like life stealing, and it has like a lot of cool mechanics. Green is all about like big growth, big creatures. Blue is very sneaky. Everyone hates blue players. In fact, I am an avid blue player, but I quit playing blue because my decks were so good, and they beat everyone, and so now no one will play my blue decks. So
I want to be blue.
But being blue is kind of like being an asshole. It's the control deck, because the way that it works is that you control how the game is played. With all the other colors, when you put cards out, your friend puts out cards, and then you guys battle. With blue, you can prevent them from ever getting any card out ever.
Oh, that's just... Why is it so unfair? Why haven't the people of Magic the Gathering realized that that's like a complete unfair advantage?
You can have strong decks in other colors. It's just that one... Yeah. That one's just... Yeah, it's sneaky. I like it.
Hey, Taz, do you live here in LA? Do you want to play Magic the Gathering?
I am in Sydney. I'll play with you. I'm going to be in LA tomorrow.
Are
I
you
should bring some
serious?
decks, actually. Yeah, I'm playing it in the morning.
Yep.
Monday
Yeah,
night,
I will.
Magic the Gathering at my house. Well, we're called Magic the Gathering because we're a mostly female playgroup, and you look quite
That's
female to
pretty
me.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Geekbox's all about, the pro-female stance on things. So yes, there you go, Taz. We'll get involved. You sound like you know your shit. When did you? I want to know, Taz, from you. When did you start getting involved in Magic the Gathering?
I haven't been involved for a while. I used to play probably like 2 or 3 years ago. I started, and it just drained too much of my money, and I had to stop. But yeah, at my uni, I don't know, everyone was playing, and it was kind of fun. And I did the same thing. I picked up a bunch of starter decks at a convention, and then realized that it was addictive, and I didn't stop for a year and a half straight. But
Wow.
yeah, I just stopped. I've stopped recently. I haven't played in a while, but all my decks are sort of old and probably inferior.
Well, we have at Magic the Gathering, we have a big stack of shared cards that people can always pull and refresh their deck from. But
That's cool.
the way that we did to mitigate costs is, well, I got into Magic right before my birthday, which was perfect because everyone got me Magic the Gathering stuff for my birthday. But I think just getting a good play group together, because once you start playing a color, I don't play green really ever, and so but there's other girls in my group that take all my green cards.
Yeah, that's true.
Sharing is
I
caring,
have a giant
guys.
box.
Because Magic is so expensive.
So the key is you've got to have the coin. You've got to physically buy these cards to build up your deck, and the more cards you buy, the better cards you can stumble across, because the rarer they are, the obviously more powerful they can be.
Yes and no. I mean, there's some really powerful cards that are like 25 cents or 75 cents. Yeah.
And then some useless ones that are worth $60, and you sell those.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So elemental base, we've got the blue for the crafty assholes. Green, you're saying don't go there. When I first played with you, I had a starter deck and I played red. I didn't mind it. Not so bad. What's red?
I like red is like fire and explosions. It's generally a pretty quick play. Would you say that, Taz?
Yeah, absolutely. And small, yeah, it builds really quickly. So you'll start off with a bunch of small monsters, and it'll be mainly monsters, not many spells. And then as you grow, it'll get bigger and bigger. But
The problem that I had, that's exactly right. So I put out all my little ones, and I know how to turn my mana to put down the cards. I get that whole play stuff. I love Hearthstone. I've got it on this computer. But the problem that I had, I was telling you about it, Ryan, is that I played your friend who was ruthless. She basically bent me over, carved my ass off, and served my ass back to me. It was not fun. I didn't enjoy it, and she was very, very good. She was playing Black Life Sucky. So every time I caused damage, she resurrected. So I'm not. It's just emotionally distressing to talk about. But it was me.
Yeah, I should have. You came on a boozy night, and on a boozy night, I would normally never. I love Ruby Young, aka Rocket Girl Ruby. She's in Japan. You can follow her Instagram. She's awesome. But she is ruthless. She is the most hardcore Magic player in our game. She just crushes people's souls. And I'm sorry that I gave her to you for your initial round. Next time you come, I'll make sure my coach comes.
I was very, very clear. I was like, Ruby, you look like you're very, very mean. You're a mean machine with your deck. Because she was like, she's like, my deck's so good. And I was like, I haven't played for 15 years, so maybe can you be nice? And she's just like, sure. I was like, oh, okay.
She's kind of evil.
7 seconds later, I was like, oh, I died. Oh, I'm out. Okay, great. She's like, do you want to play again? And I was like, because I hate myself, sure. And I did, and I died again.
Aww.
So why is it Magic? Why Magic the Gathering? Why does that resonate to you?
I think it's the social aspect. Because with my background, I've always been like a book nerd and a book nerd and a comic nerd, and like the flavor of geek I am is the book is better. Like that's the geek that I am, and so because I never really got into regular gaming because I'm already so antisocial that if I added video games on top of all the reading, I would never. I mean, I barely leave the house as is. Like I haven't left my house today. I don't think I left yesterday. It's pretty bad. No, and Magic is great because you get to play with a friend in person, and it's, and with my group, it's like all my girlfriends come over and we hang out and we play, and then it's a great way to interact, like in real life, which I really appreciate.
Actually, just one thing I did notice, there were two separate tables when we were playing. So you had like the kind of the beginner, the standard game, and then you also had the command deck. What's the
I'm never playing Commander ever again.
Commander
Deck.
Okay, what's Commander deck?
It's okay. So
everyone kind of like was like, all right, we're doing Commander Deck over here, and people that were playing were kind of like, let's do it. And I was like, wow, what is Commander Deck? Again, I'm intimidated.
Someone told me that I would love Commander Deck and that would be a really good idea. So I went out and I bought a Commander Deck and I got sleeves and a really nice box and I made a bunch of my friends get Commander Decks. And it takes so goddamn long because you've got everyone at the table is playing against each other. And so it's like you have to wait for it to go all the way around the table and people to like make their decisions and decide if they're going to attack one person or 3 people or whatever. And it takes like 6 hours. And like I said, if I was going to play 6 hours with the game, I would do Dungeons & Dragons. But I don't have that attention span. It's the worst thing ever. And which is why I got super drunk and fought you up because I was so angry at playing Commander. They wouldn't let me quit. So I'm just like, I was like angry drinking. And then I was like, new girl, touch your stuff. And then you never came back to Magic ever again.
You motivated me. you put your face in my... Yeah. You did.
It's signature move.
You motorboating son of a bitch. Shout out to HRH Frog Prince, who has tweeted in saying, I play Magic the Gathering on PC, and sometimes it can be fun. So I'm the same. I haven't played Magic on PC. I'm a Hearthstone girl. Is this something that you would get into? And Taz, you have actually played a bit of Hearthstone before?
Yeah, well, the problem is once you learn one of them, you don't really want to put the time into learning the other one because there is so much to learn when you learn all the cards. So I started playing Hearthstone, but it's sort of like just a simpler, quicker version of Magic, and it didn't resonate. I couldn't be bothered putting the time into that after putting 2 years into Magic. So I don't think people really will be into both of them.
I found that because I'd played Magic and I had a bit of an understanding about it, Hearthstone was very, very easy to pick up. That the problem was, you're right, that you unlock more cards within that deck, so you have to pretty much spend 7 hours on each particular deck to get the best one. It wasn't worth it. And
yeah, that's stupid.
Hold on, I just read the chat. RoboPet's face is what? What?
So Robot Pants is a good friend of mine who is watching us right now, and in case anyone had any questions about it, his face is a butt. It's a sad affliction that I don't know if we'll ever be able to overcome, but sorry, Robot Pants.
There's a butt for a face.
There's a butt for a face.
Oh man, that's unfortunate. Does that mean he constantly talks shit? Because it's the butt, and it...
Yeah.
You have to explain a joke, it's never funny. We are live on Twitter as well, though. If you're following at Geek Bombshells, tweet in your questions if you've got anything, or your experiences of Magic the Gathering. I want to talk more about books now, though. Really quickly.
You have a book club?
I have a book club. We've got a really good one. I just spent the whole flight trying to finish more of it because I'm only halfway through the book, and we're doing it next weekend. So this month, for the whole month of May, we decided to nominate the book The Lies of Loch Lamora by Scott Lynch, and he's going to come onto the stream and do the Google Hangout this time next week, which is pretty cool. But I think I told you some of the other authors that we'd had on there. I want to know who are some of your favorite authors and your favorite books that you've read. Favorite books.
Okay, you totally just cut out, and it sounded like someone was pushing buttons on a Casio keyboard. Maud, did you just ask me what some of my favorite authors are?
Yes. Yes, I did.
Okay. Okay, when it comes to comic books, my absolute favorites are Ellis and Ennis. Anything written by Warren Ellis is always going to be amazing. Garth Ennis is also one of my favorite writers. And he did Preacher, which is probably my favorite graphic novel of all time. Also, not a lot of people have read this series, but the Scalped series is awesome.
What is that
so
about?
Good. It's like a crime noir that takes place on an Indian reservation. It's super sexy and dark and gritty and beautiful. And it's the entire run is done now, so you can definitely read that. When it comes to regular authors, I'm old school. I love Patrick O'Brian. I don't think anyone is a better writer than Patrick O'Brian. He has such an amazing turn of phrase. I'm slowly working my way through the Master and Commander series, which is awesome because there's 20 books. Whoa. So I'm thinking that if I only read one a year, I'll be able to, like, because that's the worst thing is when you get into a series and then you, like, run through them and you're like, my series is over. But Patrick O'Brian did 20 amazing novels. It's like it's a buddy story between a ship captain and a spy during the Napoleonic Wars.
Did they do is that the one that's based on the movie with Russell Crowe and Paul Bettany?
It was a book before it was a movie, and the book was better.
Okay, but it is the same one that they borrowed from that. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't see the movie. Apparently, it's not that bad. What else do I love? William Gibson. Anything William Gibson, because he writes such strong female characters. I'm reading a ton of stuff right now. Actually, right now, I can't talk about what I'm reading because I'm judging the comic book category for the upcoming Geeky Awards. So I'm reading a bunch of like small print and kickstarted comic books, which has been hit and miss.
Yeah, right. What are the components that make a good comic book these days? What do you look for?
It's what makes anything good. It's good writing. It doesn't matter what it is. It's the writing has to be good, and then hopefully that the art complements the writing and expands on it. But the thing is that if you don't have good writing, it doesn't matter how great the art is. It doesn't matter, like it needs to be a marriage, and the art can't really stand alone without the story, because otherwise you're just looking at beautiful pictures, which is fine, but it's not what a comic book or graphic novel should be.
Right, because it needs the depth behind it all.
Yeah,
right.
You need it's the marriage of the two.
Taz, what are you reading at the moment?
That's a good question. I'm about to start reading the book for book club, Lies of Locke Lamora. I've got that on my iPad ready for the flight. I'm going to smash through that in one flight.
You will, you'll finish it.
Yeah, I've been reading some young adult stuff, some other John Green stuff. Just anything light.
So John Green obviously is the author of The Fault in Our Stars, and I got to have a little chat with him.
Who's John Green?
John Green is an author. So The Fault in Our Stars is the new movie with Ansel Elgort and Shailene Woodley and Laura Dern. And I love Laura Dern. And I showed her my Jurassic Park impersonation of her, and she loved it, and that made my life. But John Green, he's kind of like a newish author, isn't he? But it's all getting...
He started off as a YouTuber. I think that's the biggest point. Like, he's big on the internet because him and his brother had a YouTube channel. I don't remember what it was called, The Vlog Brothers or something. And then he started writing children's novels from that somehow.
Huh.
But yeah. So he's got a bunch of them now.
The Fault in Our Stars is about two terminally ill teenagers that fall in love. So, of course, it's the happiest movie ever. And when I had to watch it for work to interview the cast, I went through about six tissues, but they were sodden. They were... They were sad tissues. I'd cried so much that like they just didn't stop. There was just like an outpour. So I would hold the tissues against my face to try and absorb them as they fell out. And then the tissues started falling off and crumbling and like flaking all over my face. So by the time I got out of there, it looked like I went down on a Yeti or something. It was fucked up. But to feel good, you're a big fan of it, Taz. You saw it twice in 2 nights?
Yeah, I did. I didn't intend to do that, but yeah, I liked the movie. I like the books though. No, I can't cry in movies. I cry during the books. Like, I read a book and I get so into it that I, every emotion from a book. But when it's a movie and I'm sitting in a theater with like 60 other crying people, it just doesn't happen.
As soon as they were like, she's very sick. She's very sick. I was like, anyway.
I got teary. I just didn't actually cry. My friends did. Everyone was sniffling around me.
There was a young adult series that I read when I was a kid that was like, it was this female author, and all she wrote was these books about these girls that were like either terminally ill or like their sister dies in a car crash, and it was like just this like, I can't remember the name of her, and I've been trying to remember because I read like 15 of her books when I was 11, and there was the same thing. And it was like, has cancer or needs a bone marrow transplant, and it was just like awful stuff. And I was just like,
Nicholas Sparks kind of kept writing about that. Nicholas Sparks kept writing about, like true love and what love really was. But I remember reading a lot of the books, and they weren't great. And The Notebook, which is his notorious, book turned movie, the movie is incredible. The book is not great. So I think that was like the only time the movie has been better than the book, in my opinion.
Not true. Actually, Fight Club, the movie, is actually better than the book. Because it was, Fight Club is an amazing book, and it was Palahniuk's first book, and so he didn't really develop his super amazing writing style at that point. And I love Fight Club, the book, but the movie is definitely way better.
Yeah, but
It was more stylistic.
that's Brad Pitt's abs. Like, let's be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
It was the filming style. It was the editing. I mean, the editing and the music in that movie is amazing.
I haven't seen it in so long. I'm gonna have to watch it again.
I love the book though. I think I love them both equally. Like the book is still it's got so much more in it than the movie. Yeah, I don't know.
You know, the one that I think that
I remember it being confusing
the way
to
he
read.
described things.
Yeah, well, in the movie, you have two separate actors playing two separate people, but in the book, it was a little bit more overlap, so you didn't have that visually clear identity, sort of like going between the both. So I think that had a more powerful impact, and it was able to be better in the movie because it was visual. My 2 cents.
Taz, I have to ask you because there's another book and movie that I think are pretty close on like awesome level. Is Bret Easton Ellis's American Psycho. I feel like I love the book, but I think that the movie may have actually expressed the story a little bit better, even though you don't get the amazing the rat scene.
Yeah. Well, I love them both. Maybe I just like separate books and movies in my brain, but like I don't think I can pick one. I don't think I can pick a book or a movie that's better. They were both so good. They're both so good in both those cases.
The books are better. The Hobbit.
Yeah. Well, yeah. When the books are better, when the books are way better, that's like an obvious books are better thing. But I can still appreciate the movie like on a different level. You know, it's like you just got to go in there and not think of it as the book on the screen. It's just a movie.
I think when you're reading a book and you have such a set imagination on it, like a clear example I think a lot of people can relate to was Harry Potter. So I read the books 14 years ago now. So, you know, I think 2 years later the movie started coming out. So when it did come out, I remember screaming in the cinema being like, the Weasley twins are supposed to be chubby. They're like chunky. They're shorter and stockier. And these two lanky boys came out and I was like, like looking around as if someone else is going to be like, right? And no one was because I don't think anyone had read the books. And I was just sitting there huffing and puffing the whole time. Just like those tiny little things where I was like, Hermione has like really big teeth. Oh.
You gotta separate those things. You gotta just not. I like to think of Harry Potter. It's completely different.
Hermione was too pretty, man. She was supposed to.
They were all too pretty. They were all too pretty. Harry was too pretty. What his hair? He didn't even have green eyes, man, and his hair wasn't crazy.
He didn't even have green eyes. I think that's another thing that I was like, yuck you, man.
Just put contacts on him.
Personally offended throughout that whole thing. Well, guys, if you are watching live, make sure that you are commenting either on the YouTube page or at Twitter. Again, HRH wants to just chime in and say, yes, I agree, The Notebook was actually a better movie than the book was. And Sandy has poked fun at me because she called me a name dropper. Totally fair. Totally fair. I drop in names so hard that my wrist is breaking. So I apologize for that. But if you are watching, comment right now. I want to talk more about books. What books are you reading at the moment? Because if you're reading one that we have read or will be reading, we'll talk about it a little bit more. For example, I am currently reading 4 books. 4 books. This is a little bit ridiculous. So.
No, not really. I do the same thing because it depends on my mood. I want to be able to switch between like styles.
Yeah.
I
have to have 2. I have to have one that's like really intense. Like I'm reading Game of Thrones, and that it takes too much of my energy. And then I'm always reading some crappy teen novel because I can just like do it in one sitting, and I like to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones, you got to do the audiobook, man. Like I tried to do the books, and then I just did the audiobooks, and it was amazing.
Who reads the audiobooks though?
Roy Dotrice does the first 3, and then someone else comes in for book 4, which didn't do a good job, but book 4 is still my favorite. That's Feast for Crows. No one likes that one anyway, but I do.
No, that's probably all a bit of fluff. I mean, it's important fluff, but what I've heard,
It is not fluff. It's all my favorite characters. A Feast for Crows is the best goddamn one of the series.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. I'm only up to book 3, part 1, so I haven't even read what's happening on the series at the moment, which is devastating because with Game of Thrones, when I found out that HBO were doing a series behind it and Sean Bean was attached to it, I straight away bought the book and I gave it to my mum because Mum and I are the big readers in the family. My dad plays all the video games, my mum reads all the books. So I said, I've got a new one for you, have a read. And she read it in like a day and she gave it back to me going, this is terrible, I hated it. She absolutely could not stand it. Oh. She said that too many cliffhangers, the end of the book left her feeling like nothing was resolved. I think she felt really empty. She was just really angry about it. So Dad ended up reading it and then gave it to my other brother, Darcy, and the men loved it. The guys in my family ate it up, and they smashed through all the books straight away.
Because there's so much sex and violence.
It's probably, yeah, I guess not so emotive, inducing. But the first book I had read before the series was coming out, and by the second, they were just too fast for me. But I prefer reading something first, having my own opinion on it, having my own imagination behind it, and then seeing how they interpret it.
Because you can never watch a movie and then like erase the movie from your head and go and read the book. It's always going to be in your head. So I am such an avid person. If I will read, even if it's a shitty book making a shitty movie, I'm going to read the book now while I can, which is what I'm sort of going through at the moment. Everything they're making into a movie, I'm getting through.
That's a big list.
Yeah, but as long as I get it done before the movie comes out, it's all good.
Yeah.
And I've got your back, Taz. I also went through the phase of reading vampire books. So I read all the Sookie Stackhouse novels. I read Laurel Hamilton's, she's like a vamp hunter. I don't know, my mum gave me those. My mum also gave me like a vampire porn book almost, I swear to God. Yeah, it's called Black Dagger Brotherhood. And it's honestly, I remember reading it on a plane once, and I was so scared if someone read any word over my shoulder. It's like vampire erotica, and I'm like, Mom, and she's like, really good.
My mom's really into vampire sex books, and she loves like anything. All the Sookie Stackhouses. Like sounds like she would love this book.
Yes.
You know, she loved 50 Shades of Grey. I'm like, Mom.
I couldn't even get through the first 3 chapters of 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah, me either.
Okay, the problem with 50 Shades of Grey is that I am a sex writer. I write a column for Penthouse called The Dirty Details, where I do like sex and relationship advice. And because of my job, I had to read the series because I kept getting so many questions, and I'd go in and be like, oh, well, what do you think about this? I'm like, A, it's the worst piece of crap ever. B, these people are bad at S&M. And C, like, clearly this is fan fiction, guys. This should not be printed off the internet. Knock it off. But,
isn't that weird how that just blew up? Like, that was a thing where it wasn't just a phase. It was like, you know, women openly reading it on public transport, and you're going, I know what you're reading. Like,
you're reading porn, okay? Yeah. I was at the pool in Vegas, and literally, like, within eyesight, there was 15 copies of the book. And I was like, I don't want to be in this pool with you guys. I feel like you're going to leak juices in here. Like, gross.
Why do you think that it sounds like, Mills and Boon and all those sort of erotic novels have been on the shelves for decades. Why do you think with the introduction of 50 Shades, it took off the way it did?
It's so poorly written that anyone can understand it. You know, it's not like Massock's masterpiece like Venus and Furs. It's not like Henry Miller or Anais Nin. It's not like these amazing writers out there. Even like the Claiming of Sleeping Beauty series is not as accessible as the 50 Shades of Grey. It did so well because it was so bad.
Wow. So it's the Twilight Syndrome all over again. There you go.
It's Twilight fan fiction. It's genuinely Twilight fan fiction.
Yeah, that's how it was created, wasn't it? She's like, well, what happened?
They're doing another one right now. There's a fan fiction about what's that crappy band, that crappy boy band that everyone loves?
One Direction? Is it called One Direction?
No, it's not. But it's like someone wrote this horrible fan fiction about one of the guys.
Oh my God.
No, it's not. It's just about like one of them, and they're making it into a movie. It's not even a book yet. They haven't even bought the rights to the book. They're making it into a movie. And I read some of it. It's so badly written. It's like 1,000 times worse than 50 Shades.
There are sometimes good internet books that come out. Wool, started out by Hugh Howey, was at first internet only. That was amazing. I haven't read it yet, but Ready Player One's on my list.
Oh, that was our very first book club. That was our very first book for book club.
Does that mean I can borrow your copy? Oh, wait, you probably read on tablet or whatever.
No, I've got a hard copy, so when I give you back the graphic novels that you sent me, I'll give you that as a trade-off. Yes! Giving back. Hey, so do you recognize any of these books that our viewers are reading? Luke Harris has a big hey-o and says that he's reading the Assassin's Creed books. Anyone?
Yeah, I read the first one, but it's exactly the same as the game, and it was really boring because it was just what I just played. And so I was like, no, that's
right. Been there, done that already. Miss Kuza, hold on, this shouldn't be that hard. Where are my glasses? Miss Kuzara, hello, Miss Kuzara, says another book to TV show comparison, both Gossip Girl and True Blood. The books were way different to their respective shows. I haven't read Gossip Girl.
True Blood, I like the show better than the books.
No!
Yeah, man. Those books they went too strange. There was all like, now there's like a leopard guy, and now I'm a witch or something. Wait, was she a fairy? She was a fairy? And I was like, what? I don't know if that's happened in the show, but I stopped watching the show.
I will let you finish, but good Lord, no. When they introduced like that whole council thing in True Blood, I mean, I love Christopher Paolini, but Christopher Malini? Christopher Malini.
I don't know.
Christopher, what's his face?
He was in CSI. He's Elliot Stabler. I always geek out when I see him. Oh, sorry, Sandy. Name drop. Every time I see him on the red carpet, I always take a really sneaky photo with like, him behind me, and I'm like, because I'm obsessed with him. But even though I do really, really like him, when they brought him in to do this whole council thing, I think that's when the show fell to shit.
I don't think I've watched from then. That sounds
There's another, and then Bill became like some sort of female god, demigod or something. Yeah, so he got killed and then he like reformed out of the blood, and it's like, oh, come on.
He became a lady?
Is he, what did he what?
He became a lady?
Did you say he was a woman?
Well, no, so there's like Lilith, who is the demonic kind of god.
Yeah.
Yeah, he became embodied by Lilith.
Oh, okay. So he wasn't actually a woman.
Cool.
He was a day walker, so he could walk in the sun. But then like, there was a jail, and no, it was so bad. None of it was in the books. I much prefer the books. Get back to Eric and Suki. I didn't mean to do that, and don't read into it. But there was one shower scene that was very, very hot. So I agree with you there, Miss Kazara. They are very, very different. Nick Ahrens is saying... Oh, go on.
How come I can't see the chat, guys? This makes me sad.
Oh, this is a special
on the
one.
YouTube channel, yeah.
Yeah, I've got a little.
You can get to it. You just open the YouTube, open the live.
I see how it is.
And then you just click it, and it comes up.
Nick Ahrens says the current book is New Watch, Russian nerdy amazingness.
Is that part of the Night Watch, Day Watch ones? Because I read.
Yes, it's so good.
The first one.
I don't know.
I'm gonna Google it.
Mm-hmm. What, Ryan? Tell me about these books.
Night Watch and Day Watch. There's a whole series. I've actually only read. This is one of the cases where I actually saw the movies first, which rarely happens. And it was this awesome. It's like this. Actually, Taz, why don't you describe it? Because I get a little too excited when I'm talking about it, and it's not very clear.
It's been a long time since I read them. I read Night Watch, Day Watch, and then Twilight Watch, and I haven't read any more since then. Apparently, there's 2 more.
I'm seeing if I have it on my bookshelf right now.
That's a good idea. It's like a twisted light versus dark.
I'm wearing a dress.
Oh,
and
that's
underwear.
a
And underwear.
Hey! I'm wearing an 8-bit version of me on a shirt.
I'm not wearing any pants, but I'm in my bed, so it's okay.
Don't make me do this again. Last time I spoke to Tiffany and Jenna Bush on here, remember I was at the hotel room and I whipped my pants up straight away. Yes. Whoops.
Okay. This is the book Night Watch.
Oh, cool.
Others. You want me to just read the back? I can read the back.
Yeah. Oh, read the back. Put on a voice, though.
Others, they walk among us, observing, set in contemporary Moscow where shapeshifters, vampires, and street sorcerers linger in the shadows. Night Watch is the first book of the hyper-imaginative fantasy trilogy from the best-selling Russian author Sergei Lukian. This epic saga chronicles the eternal war of the Others, an ancient race of humans with supernatural powers who must swear alliance to either the dark or the light. Agents of the light, the Night Watch oversee nocturnal activity, while the agents of the dark keep watch over the day. For 1,000 years, both sides have maintained a precarious balance of power. Ancient prophecy has decreed that a supreme other will one day emerge, threatening to tip the scales. Now, that day has arrived.
Yeah, all right, sign me up. I would.
Yeah, it's really good. It's very intense, though. It's a lot darker than you would imagine just from reading that.
It's really dark. The
movie's brilliant. I thought it was, actually. Dude, they rip his spine out of his back. It's pretty dark.
In fairness, I always thought that I don't know if anyone else has had this morbid discussion. Maybe it's just me, the fact that I played Mortal Kombat way too early. But have you ever wondered what your finishing move would be? Because mine is actually ripping out, like clamping on the back of their neck, ripping out their spinal cord, and then drinking the spinal juice.
How do you know that? I'm jealous.
How did you think of this?
That's
Is there a
my...
randomizer on the internet?
There what?
Where do I go to find out what my
Oh, you make it up.
move is?
It's
You
your,
get to
your
choose.
choice.
Chose this. This was her decision.
Yeah, I wanted to have this. You know, instead of like having the spinning hat and then pulling him through the hat, I liked the whole. Anyway,
I think mine would have to have something off of like where I could jump off of people because I love old school ECW, so I would want to like take it off the top turnbuckle style.
no.
But like maybe I need to Wolverine somebody. Just like jump down like.
Maybe you need to spoiler if you haven't seen the last Game of Thrones episode. Maybe you just need to keep punching that head through until it collapses.
Oh!
Eyes first, and you think that that's the finishing move. So you think that the eyes just go, and you're like, wait, and face pinata, finish it. Totally.
Okay, now have you seen Ichi the Killer mod? Since obviously you like violent movies.
No, I hate violent movies. I do not watch violent movies. I don't like horror. I would never. I know.
Well, I don't watch horror, but this is.
I don't really like.
Wait, so your finishing move is ripping someone's spine out, but you don't want to watch a violent movie.
I will not watch extreme violence, but I will play extreme violent games, video games.
That's not a good sign. If
Why?
you like being interactive with that, but not just watch it, like
No, it's not the interaction that I like. It's the fact that it's really not real. But I find that when actors are doing it, and like with the way that they CGI, like no, I think Game of Thrones. I was like this. I didn't even watch it.
yeah, I couldn't watch it. I couldn't watch it.
What are you guys talking about?
Did you see
Game
the
of
last
I
Game
don't
of Thrones?
No, I quit watching that series because it was different from the books, and I got mad. But now my mom's making me watch it.
You should watch
Which is
it.
weird. Watching Game of Thrones with your mom, like, so we went to Ren Fair a couple weeks ago,
Oh, that's
and
nice.
afterwards she was like, oh, well, how about for the end of the day we start watching the Game of Thrones series? And I was like, Mom, there's a lot of sex and violence in this, like, a lot.
Hmm.
And she's like, but I just think it'd be a nice way to end the day. And I'm like, okay, Mom, you go to church like every single day. Like
Aw.
super Catholic. Loves it. Totally loves it. And it's all like, are you catching up?
I've got a thing with my
you want-
Game of Thrones watching. I have a drink, and when I see a pair of boobs, you have a drink. Or when New Grit was going on like her mad psycho rush, when she was like, you know nothing, Jon Snow. If you got a you know nothing Jon Snow, you had to finish your drink. So the finale, I think it was last year's or the year before's finale, where she was just like, she cross-bolted him. Yeah, it was like 3 lots of you know nothing Jon Snows, and I was like, I can't keep watching the show. Learn something, Jon Snow. Learn something so you no longer know nothing. Fuck. Anyway, we've got Sean Patterson, who actually tweeted in at Geek Bombshell saying, I read the Hunger Games books. They're quite good books as well. I absolutely smashed those out. I think I read all 3 in about 5 days. I agree. I really, really enjoyed them. The first book was by far the best. The second and the third got a little bit carried away because the second book was one but changed a little bit. And then the third one, I'm like, oh, come. What? Are you kidding? But still, I'm looking forward to the movies. Have you guys seen those? Read
yeah,
those?
I read them all. I read them a long time before the movie. Oh, the first one a long time before the movie came out, actually. Men quite liked it. I don't know, I got into it.
I read
Yeah.
the first 2.
Yeah, the third one goes a little bit off the rails, but
Yeah, they have to, though. It's like, do they really even
What else
think
was
about where those books are going to go after the first one? I think she probably just wrote the first one and then went, well, now it's popular. What am I going to do?
no, that would have been the publishing house being like, well, this is a good thing. We can make you millions of dollars. Write it. And she's like, well, I don't know what it's doing. So just write the same thing but different. She did.
Yeah.
And
I
so-
really hate when authors have they sort of like do something purely because it's going to, be controversial or make them a lot of money. And that's what happened in the Divergent books as well, like the end of the Divergent books. But they did something really stupid with it. It was purely because it was like shock value and there was no reason to do it for the narrative. And I was just like, this is so dumb.
Okay,
Right.
so I read the first two because the two came out in like a nice like double book set, and I was like, oh, I'll read this. This looks nice. And then the third one came out, so I have no idea what happens in the third one.
Yeah, it's
Is it
not
stupid
worth
and
it.
shocking?
It just, yeah, they added something at the end that was like, because no one's done it yet. Oh, we'll do this because it's different, and it wasn't very good.
You know what I read? That's basically like exactly that same books, but in space. Oh, let me look this up. It's what is the name of this? Do I have them on my bookshelf? Yeah, there was another like teen girl in an extreme dystopian future, and then by the end of the third book, I was like, what just happened?
Right. Well,
I probably read it.
Strong female lead.
It's something universe.
Luke has just informed us, though, that someone has left the audio on and it's echoing a little bit. So I'm not sure.
I can't hear any echoes. I'm not sure what that is about.
But he also asks, what do you think about
It might be me. Across the universe.
Across the Universe? Sounds familiar?
Oh.
Yeah.
It does sound familiar.
It's a trilogy. And it's not the movie, and it's not the Beatles song. It's a book series about a girl that wakes up in a spaceship way in the future.
Huh.
Sounds interesting.
If I get a choice between fantasy and sci-fi, I will always go fantasy. There's just...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's very few really good sci-fi books out there. But when they're good, they're really, 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 really good.
I mean, I read Ender's Game in one sitting. I picked up that book and I did not stop until I finished it. And I've only done that with a handful of books. But Orson Scott Card makes me feel sick in the stomach, so it's really kind of hard to support a book where I don't support the person that wrote it. Sandy Hooper says Oh, go.
What does Sandy Hooper say?
Oh, Sandy Hooper said getting into Colin Tabor, The Fall of Ossard. Has anyone heard of The Fall of Ossard?
No, but I'm doing Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time in the audiobook forms, which is awesome.
So I've got the first 4 books of those that I've been meaning to start the series in 4 hour, but I'm reading 4 other books at the same time.
There's too many. There's 14 books in the series. That's an audiobook.
He didn't even live to finish it, which is very sad.
Are you serious?
So yeah, he passed away.
Right? Isn't his
Brandon,
son or something?
No, Brandon Sanderson. So one of the books that I'm reading, out of the 4 books that I am, one of them is Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn series. And so Brandon Sanderson is a very, very popular fantasy writer, and he's getting all of Jordan's memoirs and with the direction of where it was going, and he's going to be writing it for him, which is kind of cool that we get to see that end. I'm also reading Magician by Feist. I'm reading book 3, part 1 of Game of Thrones, and Lies of Locke Lamora for this month's book club. Guys, comment below if you have read The Lies of Locke Lamora, because I'm really excited to get 2 of you on the panel to join me with Scott Lynch, the author. And everyone pretty much who's been commenting has said that it's kind of gross that I have my Mortal Kombat finishing move, but it's sick and twisted, but I love it. And
yeah, tell them that pretty things are often dirty and mean sometimes too. And they'll rip your spine out.
I just loved the Mortal Kombat finishing. Like, as soon as it was like finishing, you're like, you've got to punch in that code, and if you haven't done it, then you can turn him into a baby or something. But that was one of my favorite parts.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes, go Ryan.
Okay, so I got into the Mercedes Lackey books. Do not judge me; they're amazing. But I've only done her. I've only done. What's the fairy tale ones? The Elemental Master series, and I don't know which series to start next because I need some more Mercedes Lackey in my life.
I have not read any Mercedes Lackey.
I don't even know what that is.
And if you can sell it to us in 30 seconds, you have got 2 new people that will join.
Really amazing, super fun fantasy novels. Imagine, did you love The Little Princess when you were a kid? Or The Secret Garden?
Secret Garden, absolutely, yeah.
Imagine like a fantasy version of The Secret Garden, because they're kind of aimed at like young girls, and they're definitely like kid stories, but they're like super fantasy and cool.
Oh, I'm in. That was easy.
Yeah,
Madison
Lackey. Got that like old feel.
Okay.
Mercedes Lackey.
Mercedes Lackey. HRH has just written in what his Mortal Kombat finishing move would be. Do you guys want to hear it? Because it's really cool. It's really
Okay. Go for it.
He's going to turn into mist, jump down the bad guy's throat, and then turn solid and then explode through them from inside out. That's awesome. That's really cool. I could never watch that. Like I said, if it was in a movie, I don't want to know about it. If it's a video game, I'm fine. So weird. What does that mean? Can anyone understand the psyche behind that?
You like to be in control.
Damn straight. That's all that was. That was easy. You just saved me hundreds of dollars in psychotherapy bills. That's great. We also do something called Power, Ryan, and Power is PWR, and it stands for playing, watching, and reading. And we kind of just spent the last 20 minutes talking about all the reading side of it, but I thought we'd shine a light on what we're playing and watching at the moment. So, I mean, I'm reading those 4 books. Playing, I'm still playing Elder Scrolls Online because I'm up to level 22 and it's an MMO, so there is no finish. And I'll update on my Xbox. Xbox won't fix my console.
What?
So because it's a beta console. So basically they sent me, beggars can't be choosers. I'm so excited that Xbox wanted to send me an Xbox to play. Like, that was amazing. I really thank you. But they sent me a faulty one, and it has never been able to read any discs. So I've got about 6 games for the Xbox One that cannot be playing. So, and then I was like, hey, what can I do to fix it? What can I do? Is there anything that I can do? And they're like, we will not fix your unit. And I was like, so should I just start using it as a doorstop? And they're like, haha, probably. So that's my playing vent and watching. I'm watching Farscape. And Taz, I know that you downloaded all the Farscapes.
I got through 1 episode, man. I'm not keen on that.
You gotta keep
I will.
The whole show is about sexual tension.
It's so good. Farscape is so good.
I just couldn't take it seriously. I think it was the Australian accents, but just didn't sound right, and I was just like, come on.
Oh, it's so good. And screw you, Taz, because when I found out that you got the Farscape, I downloaded all of Orphan Black Season 1, so I was doing a trade-off. You do Farscape?
All right. I'll finish watching it just for you.
Cool.
But there's 4 seasons. It's gonna take a really long time. I'll put it on my iPad for the plane. It'll be fine.
It's just so clever. Ryan, what are you playing and watching for Power?
I am playing. I'm only allowed to play iPhone games, and actually not even that much. I had to sell my iPad because I was gaming too much. But right now I'm playing High School Story, Heyday, Make It Rain, and Swamp Attack.
Ooh, what are they like?
Swamp Attack is like your standard tower defense game, except that you're like a redneck in a swamp, and you're like shooting at like alligators with colanders on their head. You get like flamethrowers and stuff. It's pretty cool. So I'd play that. Make It Rain is basically the iPhone version of Cookie Clicker, but it's really fun because it's got. The best part about it is mostly when you bust it out. You got to go like this, and then it makes like fake money go on people. So you're like, I'm making it rain on you. Mostly it's used to degrade people in public. Like, you're like a stripper. And then High School Story.
Ryan and I are neighbors pretty much, by the way, in Los Angeles. Like, we're pretty much neighbors, and we live around the corner from Jumbo's Clown Room. Where I have made it rain so often. I have made it. There you go, fun fact. And you are watching?
Star Trek TNG.
Oh, nice. Have you watched that already, or is this the first time for you?
I'd seen it like sporadically as a kid. I was raised in a house television, vegetarian, like hippies. Hence why I like books so much. But yeah, so there's a lot of TV that I haven't seen, and yeah. So I'd seen like some of it, and I'd actually seen a lot of the Deep Space Nine growing up, because that was what was on when I was growing up, and yeah, no, I'm like started from the beginning, and my friend Robot Pants and I have been watching it together, and it's been awesome.
How does he watch television when he has a butt for a face?
Well, it's more of just like his. Okay, so when you tell someone that their face is a butt, it's like a nice way of saying that they're a butthead. Because my insults have not graduated to the 4th grade yet. So his face is a butt. Yeah, at all times.
Can he ever evolve into being Duty Face? Yeah.
Duty Face.
Yeah.
I do threaten to poop on him sometimes. It makes me really mad.
That'll end any argument.
Right?
I'm sure of it.
You're like, I will totally poop on you. And I'm like just crazy enough that people suspect that I might maybe consider it.
They're like,
maybe she would. Maybe she would. I'm like,
all right, Taz, you're up. Power. What are you playing and watching? Because we know what you're.
What am I playing and watching? I finished Murdered Soul Suspect. That was what I was playing last week.
You really like it, don't you?
That was a really good game. I'll do a proper review of that in our podcast or whatever. What else am I playing? That's probably it. I'm playing a crappy game on my phone that it keeps asking me to pay it. And I don't want to. What's it called? I'll have a look.
I've got a problem with that. If you were charging anywhere between 99 cents and $1.99 to play a game, there should be no other buy-in options at all. If it's free, exactly. I get it, but a free version should also have a buy-outright version and not have that.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, I would have paid $1 for this game if I could keep playing, but instead it's like paying me $1 every time you run out of lives, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Actually, Ryan and I were speaking about that the other night. These games where, build your army or don't wait till you can build the next thing. I think I would have put about $80 into Clash of Clans.
Oh, see, with Heyday, I'm at least like 120 in.
And when you think about that, it's like these AAA titles. They're back home. They're about $100, but they're $70 here. That's nearly half of what we're putting into these app games. But the premium titles, I mean, the AAAs, you can play them for up to like 40 to 80 hours. So really,
I mean,
sneaky marketing.
Heyday.
Because it's a little dollar every time. Just $1.
It's the same as subscription-based though, like MMOs. If you pay, you're paying $30 a month, it's gonna wrap up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. And plus, we play lots of money sometimes for games that only last 5 or 6 hours. That's fine.
When I was doing the IMGA's International Mobile Gaming Awards, one of the gaming companies is saying that with Clash of Clans, that for a man to be number one, I think it was in Denmark or something, but to be number one, he spent $80,000 on the game.
Are you kidding?
That's ridiculous.
$80,000. That is like more than the average person's salary a year, but just to be number one.
No,
that wasn't in the world. Yeah, exactly. So
that's like good money.
And that wasn't to be in the world. There was no perks. It's just that he was number one in his country.
Well, some people are a different kind of crazy.
Yeah. So playing and watching. Because Taz is our TV girl.
I'm going to throw my money away.
Yeah, the problem is there's nothing really happening on TV at the moment. Everything's dead. Everything's stopped. So other than Game of Thrones and Orphan Black that I'm missing tomorrow because I'm on a flight, which is depressing. I'm actually just rewatching a show that I watched years ago called South of Nowhere.
Valley. I guess that is over.
Yeah, I need to watch that too, actually. There's a bunch that I have to catch up with. Penny Dreadful as well. Penny Dreadful apparently is really good. Okay, but I want to wait for the whole season. Yeah.
What's Penny Dreadful?
Sometimes that's good.
It's on Showtime.
Twisted thing.
You will hate it if you don't like scary. It's almost too scary for me. I watched it with my neighbor Abby, and she has to hold my hand the whole time.
Yeah, I don't like that.
But Silicon Valley is hysterical. It's probably my favorite show this year, hands down.
You're right. Cops a little bit of slack because of the casting inequality, basically saying that the only sort of programmers out there are men, which statistically is true.
Yeah.
It's just kind of sad.
I'm going to be at E3 next week. It's going to be a dude fest. So
we are all going to be at E3 next week.
We're going to be there.
Dude, we're going to party!
Yes. We're going to be running around with the camera.
We'll just be all of the ladies. It'll be fine. There'll be plenty of us.
All 12 of us. In the bed.
Hey, man, that means we get the bathrooms. This is my favorite thing about E3. You go to the bathroom, there's no line. It's empty.
That's so true.
Great. That's my favorite thing about conventions. I never wanted to change. I don't even mind if it's unequal. I like to be able to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, no queue. Last time I went to a convention, it was at Comic-Con, and Mystique walked out, and she had, like, full body, body paint, and I was like, did you want to just do a once-over just in case you got a little bit of back spray? Like, if you had droplets, like, that's just going to wreck your whole shtick, you know. That is sick. We've been taking PWR power on the comments. We've got Johnny B45 saying he's playing Watch Dogs, he's watching Grimm, and he's not reading anything. Stigmata, hey, so glad you got to join us. He said he's playing Grand Theft Auto 5 for the first time, watching Game of Thrones, Penny Dreadful, and Vikings. I wouldn't mind getting into Vikings, but apparently it's a poor man Game of Thrones. And is reading a security and study guide. Luke Harris wants to say, King, for you, I think that's for Candy Crush. Sounds like you've stolen a lot of your money. And Taz, this one's for you. The Frog Prince wants you to stick to at least 4 to 5 episodes of Farscape because that's when it really gets awesome. So just commit to 4. At least
I want to get into Farscape.
I will commit purely if you watch Orphan Black. Then it's fine.
I quote. There's like 3 quotes that I have from Farscape, and I will say it and look around and be like, anyone, not one person. There's not one person will ever understand. I'm in my own little world there, but that's fine. And Marcus Townsend says, my favorite sci-fi and fantasy book of all time is The Eyes of the Dragon by Stephen King. Look, apparently Stephen King actually does really good fantasy.
Oh my God.
I've never.
The Dark Tower novels are incredible. But those are the only ones, the only fantasy that I've read. But they are, like, worth it.
Why do you guys have to talk about my games? I can't help touching them now.
You're playing, you're addicted.
No.
Ryan, we need to have a chat about this next time, okay?
I threw my phone away.
Oh, that'll do it. Miss Kazara has said she's playing Mario Kart 8, that Luigi death stare though, ha ha ha. She's watching Heroes of Cosplay and Game of Thrones and is reading nothing but really wants to read Matthew Riley's The Tournament.
Yoo-hoo. How can you not be reading anything? Like, how does that work?
I know, your elaborate bookcase behind you. I'm in a beautiful hotel room currently, but one of my favorite things in the world is a big bookcase.
You know what I should show you? The bookcase is pretty good. I should show you the stack of to-reads next to my bed because it's out of control. I was just looking at it today and I was like, you probably need to edit this down.
And we've got a bedroom tour happening thanks to Ryan Keeley.
Yeah, this is the stack of books by my bed.
Oh my goodness! And you have to read all of those.
Yeah, that's my head for scale.
Oh my goodness! Is there like 30 books there? Just a bit of light reading.
So there's that, and then on the other side, I have my stacks of what I'm reading. I have to read for the Geeky Awards in the next week. Geeky Awards are next week, or that's the cutoff? No, that's when the judging ends.
Gotcha. Oh, that should be fun. I wouldn't mind going to that in September. Luke Harris wants everyone to know that no, he did not spend anything on that video game. It's junk food and garbage, and it is a shit clone. But Luke also wants to ask us, because he's asked it the second time, but the first time I tried to read it and I couldn't get the words out, so I'm going to say it really slowly and phonetically. What do you think about ludonarrative dissonance in books, movies, games, and all other mediums? Do you think it exists in other mediums? I don't even know what that is. So
me either.
Ludonarrative?
Let's look it up.
Let's all look it up. Look, Luke, we're doing this for you, buddy.
The conflicts between a video game's narrative and its gameplay. What?
Oh, I don't care about that.
Actually, I know something about this, which is weird. It's freaking me out as well. One of the fellow judges on IMGA's, she's doing her PhD on this. Her name's Lily. I think if you go on the IMGA website, there's a big, sort of brief about all the judges on the panel. So it's like, hey, meet Maud Garrett. She thinks she's cool. And then you've got Lily on there. Check her out. I think she's going to the Texas University, but that's the topic of her PhD. So it sounds like if you want to pick anyone's brain about it, she's your gal. She tried to explain it to me, and I was like, cool, that sounds really good.
Yeah.
What's IMDA?
I assume that this is relevant to movies as well. Sort of. Like when one character's sort of interests are different to the narrative. It doesn't matter. It's complicated.
IMGA is the International Mobile Gaming Awards, and news breaking as well. No one knows about this, but I can confirm it, and you guys are finding out first. At E3 on Tuesday from 5 o'clock, I will be one of the judges for the Big Indie Pitch, and the Big Indie Pitch is where game developers have got their app idea. All they need is the funding. So a bunch of us judges will sit there. They'll have 3 minutes to pitch what their game is, and we say whether it's got legs and it probably deserves a bit of love and attention and some funding, or if they should just forget about it. So it's a pretty good idea if you are.
Fun.
Yeah, if you're an indie developer and you don't want to waste the money before putting into it a project that maybe no one really cares about, it's a good idea to just put it out there and just see what everyone else thinks, and it can be pretty brutal. But that's happening at E3. We're all going to be there, so if anyone else is at E3, make sure you say hi to us because, oh my gosh, guys, we're like the Charlie's Angels of E3.
Dude! Dude!
Yeah, we got the red hair, the brunette, and the blonde. That's
Okay.
cool.
We're gonna have to pose. There's gonna be some posing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right,
and I've got Geek Bomb candy as well, so if you get a little bit hungry and peckish, I've got Geek Bomb candy that I'll be giving out. Won't we, Taz?
Sure. Yes. Do you have
Sure.
lots?
I have
Can some Geek Bomb
lots.
candy? I have a lot too, actually, but I'm not going to bring it with me.
No, I have kilos and kilos of Geek Bomb candy, so I'll be giving all that out at E3. But this has been Geeks Unleashed. We have run out of time. Hey, Ryan, if people keep commenting, did you want to check back in a week and answer anyone's questions that we may have missed?
I can totally do that.
Fantastic. And Ryan, if people want to know more about you and where to see you, just give us one last plug. You've got your Twitter handle right there. So you can
find me is on Twitter. That's at Ryan Keeley. I'm on Instagram. That's Ryan_Keeley. I need to relaunch a website, so just find me on the social medias. I'm there, and I like to talk to people.
And really quickly, can you tell us anything about the Bronies?
Oh my God!
musical?
Okay, so I'm a correspondent for therealstanley.com. You can go there to see fun, cool, geeky stuff that's happening in the world, and of course Stanley. And I saw Bronies the musical, which is an original production for the Hollywood Fringe play. I got to see their dress rehearsal yesterday. Hysterical. It's everything that you imagine a musical about bronies would be. It's about young men finding the magic of My Little Pony and helping them achieve their goals. And there's songs. It's a lot of songs.
Are there lots of My Little Ponies as well?
There was not enough ponies, but I understand. It's a fringe festival, so obviously they don't have like a big budget because it's fringe theater. So they do have girls in prom dresses with the My Little Pony puppets, and they sing.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I could have. The stage wasn't pink enough for my taste.
Oh, yeah.
But other than that, it was a good time.
And it's really funny, I saw one of my friends that are in a band, and they are staying in the hotel the same time that a furry convention was on. So they took a bunch of photos with all these furries.
I was
interesting.
in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and there was a witch convention, and it was literally middle-aged, like, Wiccan witches, like, middle-aged women in, like, hats, like, tall, pointy hats, and, like, flowy gowns, and they all had, like, they were all selling, like, crystals and stuff in the lobby. It was incredible.
Heaven.
That's cool.
There's a convention for everything, by the sounds of it.
Everything.
All right, so we are out of time, but I did want to get in that Bronies mention because I can't believe the Bronies have a musical, but I kind of can. But I kind of...
It's an entirely original production. It's if you're in Hollywood for the Fringe Theater Festival, you should definitely check it out because it blows my mind.
That I understand. Guys, play Power with us. What are you playing? What are you watching? What are you reading? Comment below. Ryan's going to answer any questions that you may or may not have. Make sure you're subscribing to our Week in Geek podcast that we do every single week on iTunes, and you can get it on your Android as well. Plus, like and subscribe the vid. If you liked what you saw, give us a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe because we're looking to do more stuff. It's 10 o'clock at night here, and I'm going on 2.5 hours sleep. So bad. I'm going to go to bed. I'm going to take off my pants. I can't wait. But this has been Geek Bomb, and the bomb has been Tara.
Dropped.
That'll do it. See ya.